So John and I basically stand back and let the people that really matter do the work. And every once in a while we get together and say, wow, they're doing a really good job. So that's our role, just to make sure that the barriers are removed. The second, perhaps most important role that I have as a manager is really to introduce folks that matter beyond John and me. I have had the opportunity to work with this young man for many, many years. I first recognized him when he emerged in leadership in the California Teachers Association as a mere member, and then he became a mere representative of his local, and then he became a member of our state council, and he basically rose through the different committees. This kid eventually grew up and became a person that before I used to like him, now I really admire him. And because he, through his entire tenure, working through the chairs, has had a vision for the organization, an organization that I have come to love. I'll just say it here, I've been saying everywhere that I've been for the past year, this is my last year. I'm retiring next year on March of 2017. I said that the other day in another meeting and I was corrected. And so I'm basically, I'm sort of retrospectively looking at my career and remembering all the people that I've met, and especially the more important people. And Eric Heins is probably the best person that I can hope for to be at the helm of an organization as I lead. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you my friend. Oh, by the way, I got married in June and he was at my wedding, which is great. My friend and colleague, Eric Heins.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Linda Bald, and I'm the director of the National Board Resource Center, and I'm just peeping in here just briefly to the live stream people. If you open up the live stream in YouTube, you'll see that there's a chat feature, and then you'll be able to communicate and ask your questions so we could share with the group here. Thank you.
Okay, that's important stuff. God, I keep forgetting this gets live streamed as well, so that's why this is here. Not because I actually need amplification of my voice, because I've taught first grade, and just like I tell people when when they start talking about class size doesn't matter, I say just spend 6.5 hours alone with 32 6-year-olds, and then tell me again class size doesn't matter. Forget the research, right? And so I've learned to be able to project and kind of do that way. Welcome to all of you for being here. You don't know, I mean, well, you do know, but other than the alliteration, I don't believe in mere members, because I believe, I'm a mere member. I'm a teacher in Pittsburgh, just here in East Contra Costa County Elementary School, and I'm just on leave while I'm fortunate enough to be your president, or to be the president of those members that are here. And it's put me in a really interesting position. Actually, where I just came from was a place called the K-12 Water Cooler. And it's convened, it's like the 8th time they've met, convened by the Advancement Project. And it's brought together, so CTA is in the room, of course CFT is in the room, AXA, CSBA, a lot of the funding foundations, so Stewart Foundation, Bechdel Foundation, a lot of different groups that have Californians Together, all these different educational groups to come together to talk about things that matter. And they're groups that don't normally talk to each other always. Or when we do talk to each other, it's through banging each other, lobbying at the legislature because we disagree on this, that, or the other thing, or lawsuits, all that traditional kind of stuff, that politicking in Sacramento. But here we have actual conversations. And the first thing, I kind of hated leaving there. And because they were having a conversation, their first panel was on equity and continuous improvement in California's accountability system. And as you know, since we're coming off a system that is all about label and punish, right? That this is an important conversation, and actually elevating equity to the same level as performance is a very important discussion to have. So they're having that exciting discussion, and then they're moving on to teacher pipeline. And this is really where you all get mentioned a lot, because everyone talks about, well, how do we support teachers, and how do we make sure when they're just entering the profession, or as we move, there's obviously things we need to do to develop the pipeline moving forward. But then when we get them there, what do? Do we subject them to more paperwork or another program, or just do we give them talking heads from publishing companies? And if you've taught longer than a year, you've probably been experienced some of them. If you're like me, then you're those are the days you wish, well, if I have to die, now's a good time, because the transition will be much easier. So it's but the ILC is always mentioned, because you're breaking new ground. And it's really about teachers teaching teachers. And that's an exciting place to be. That's really an exciting place to be. So I want to thank you for doing that. And as we continue to expand this work, and it puts us in California in a really different light. Because they're looking at us, and people think, oh, California's big. But if you look at what's happening in the rest of the country, it's very different than this. And that's for many reasons. Of course, we were able to pass Proposition 30 in 2012, which plugged the hole, so we didn't have, this constant rampant loss of money and loss of teachers in the district, and this kind of whole cutting, not just cutting to the bone, but actually cutting the bone, because there was nothing left to cut off of it. And we elected the right governor. We elected the right superintendent of public instruction, who's also, by the way, at the meeting over there. And so we elected the right people, and then we elected a lot of the good people in the legislature. But then we also did something different. We stepped up to the plate. We partnered with the SCOPE project and with the National Board Certification Center, and we worked together to build something that's actually good. Because I'll tell you, everything we do at CTA, it may not always seem like it, and maybe traditionally it might not always have been so, but everything we do is related to improve student learning. Everything. That means even the traditional union stuff. So when we bargain and push and bargain around better salaries and working conditions and smaller class sizes and all that, it's really about attracting and retaining the best and the brightest to the profession, and that we can actually afford to teach, right? Even in an environment where only 14% of the housing in this state is affordable on a teacher's salary. So that's, again, it's about improving student learning, and you're right in the center of it. And so I'm just going to close, other than the fact that I should probably say that we need to pass 55, and this is not because I'll be murdered if I don't say that, but I'm going to be rebellious because I'm not going to use the we can't go back as kind of the talking point, and we can't go back. This is the way I like to remember 55. 55 jazz hands. You will not see that on any official 55 campaign paper. So you saw it here, and I'm just saying. The last thing I want to close with, and just to know that we're not doing all this work in isolation. It may seem sometimes that way, but I just came from a conference in Iceland. It was called the Atlantic Rim Collaboratory, and it was convened by Andy Hargraves. I don't know if you know Andy. He's a known researcher around big system change from Boston College in Massachusetts. And 8 systems from around the world that are doing educational change the right way. It's an invitation-only conference. First one of its kind, I should say conference, collaboratory. And California was one of the big systems chosen. And so Michael Kirst, the superintendent or the president of the school boards, Tom Torlakson for the CDE, Glenn Price went in his stead, and I went to represent the professional, the teachers in the professional associations. And the work we do is being recognized everywhere. And we're different than just about everywhere. But the fact that they're looking at what we do, the challenges, we share a lot of the same challenges. So breaking out of our little insular world here and actually talking with other systems, and maybe we'll start some peer work together and actually working to change things in the right way. You're part of a global struggle against the whole corporatizing movement and against the whole issues that we're fighting here. It's happening everywhere. So you're part of something big, and you're right at the ground of it, right at the center of it. So yay. And then I just want to say, you know what the population of Iceland is? Can you guess? $330,000. Does that sound familiar? That's the membership of CTA, right? So we could all move and populate Iceland. I know, that's kind of cool. Or when I retire, I may run for president of Iceland. If it were only warmer, and I could tell them I'm experienced. Hey, I've been president of a system this big. But I'm not going to go because it's too cold. So let me just say thank you. Thank you again for being here. And I'll be here for most of the morning. And then we'll see you. Thanks. So I'll just run.
We are funded by several foundations, and they're listed here. Our big one is the Bechtel Foundation, and then the California Education Policy Fund. The Stewart Foundation is another big grantor. I just spent 4 days with them at a Peter Senge Systems Thinking Conference. The Silicon Valley Community Fund, and we have representatives here today, the National Education Association, NFIE, Great Public Schools Fund, and these are the partners in the project: CTA, Stanford Scope, the National Board Resource Center at Stanford University. So we wanted to just kind of start us thinking about the ILC project from a bigger scope, in that when we look at the educational ecosystem, we see that the students are right in the middle of all of this, how it all evolves from the classroom to the schools, to the families and communities that they serve, the school district, and then the overall policy aspects from the state and federal governments. And when we look at how leadership thrives in that process, and we're looking at what needs to be implemented and some of the shifts that needs to happen in instruction and in school districts, is that with the new California standards, the student learning piece is the most important and critical component of the new standards, which means that teachers have to do some instructional shifting, which is what this project is all about. And also we added additional administrators. We have about 30 or 35 administrators now helping to think about the leadership shifts that needs to happen. Okay, tongue twister. and then in order for all of this to thrive is what happens in the leadership component at school districts. So some of what we've heard from the people or our teachers and administrators who attended the ILC professional development workshops, they see this component coming together and working effectively to implement the Common Core. So we have a video. Let me see if I can get it right. No, we have to hit. We just developed a video about the ILC project, and that's one of our marketing pieces that we have. And the team, we have a team that developed this. So Karen Taylor, raise your hand, our creative genius here, Linda Bald in the back, and Vernon Gatone and Melissa are all part of the group that put this video together, so that you can use it in your classrooms, your school districts, the professional development, to explain what the project is about, because it's really an exciting video. And also our technical genius is Karen Taylor also. Well, there is an HDMI cable. travel with your speakers? It worked without that all being set up. Is it my speakers that are not on?
I don't know why your speakers aren't playing out either. Yours are up.
Sorry about our technical difficulties. So what do you think is happening? I tested it without hooking it up. They're going to do it like simultaneous like we did last time.
Here for one reason? How do we impact student learning in a positive way? How do we spark creativity, collaboration, and deepen professional learning? How do we create an environment that supports educators as leaders? Inspiring students can't be done in isolation. It takes hard work and collaboration to make an impact. To meet these challenges, the California Teachers Association, the Stanford Center for Opportunity Policy and Education, and the National Board Resource Center at Stanford founded a statewide Instructional Leadership Corps. The ILC encourages deeper learning and creates strong supports for teachers, leaders, and most importantly, students by developing new partnerships within our educational ecosystem.
I don't know.
In the first 2 years of the ILC project, ILC members have provided professional development to over 47,000 fellow educators.
At the district level, I got to have a different relationship with our curriculum instruction department.
The thing I value the most from this experience has been the networking with other teachers and other administrators and university personnel, and just learning from the participants that come to our sessions and seeing what they're doing in the classroom and taking some of those things and making it part of my classroom. And then the best part of all of this is learning from others.
I believe my instruction has changed dramatically because what I'm looking at now is being more reflective about my practice and the interactions that I'm having with my kids and the learning that's taking place. To me, this project's about impact, about the impact I can make in my classroom and the impact that I can make with my colleagues.
When we first started, everyone was very hesitant with the Common Core and how they could actually make that accessible to students in the classroom. We've seen that the teachers becoming much more comfortable, and more importantly, we've seen the data that's showing that students are having academic success.
I've had the opportunity to work with colleagues who are working at a level which helps heighten my own understanding.
My relationship with the district has allowed us to open the door to start the conversation about teachers training teachers and not just outside providers.
Over the next 3 years, it is the goal of the ILC to have teachers training teachers not just be an occasional occurrence, but something that is deeply rooted in our educational system in order to ensure that all of our students are college and career ready.
To find an ILC member in your local area, please visit our website.
Well, Vernon gave us his. It's in his possession right now. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was worried about. So the video is going to be put on our website so that anybody can access and show the video and hopefully not have all the technical difficulties that we're encountering right now. But there's just a few final touches that we're going to put on the video, right, Karen? And that's to have a real live person who attended a PDW provide some testimonial about their attendance and what they got out of it.
All right, Marlene, I'm trying to get us back to your slideshow. You can tell I don't usually use a PC. Okay.
So one of the, I think is mentioned in the video about the outreach that this ILC project has reached in terms of, we have what is called 2-session professional development workshops. That means that that's the recursive pieces that many of our ILC members have conducted. A first session ILC professional development, and they encourage their participants to go back to the classroom and try an instructional shift. They come back in a month or two and they share an artifact of what they've learned and what it meant to them. And I always say that there's a make it and break it, take it with you, is that if there were 30 people attending the workshop, 30 people left with 30 new strategies and new ideas. So that is the branding piece of our project. But we've also had 1-session professional developments where we've had ILC members attend conferences or were presenters at other content level conferences. So the grand total that we have is over 48,000 people that we touched in a year and a half, or participants in about a year and a half, because our project didn't launch until October of 2014. So based on the workshop ratings, what we've received in terms of comments and feedbacks and some of the surveying that we've done to collect data about the project for our funders, is that you can see on a scale of 5.0 that there is a high satisfaction of and found high satisfaction of the workshops, and our participants found that it was valuable to them. So actually the capacity building is another focus of our project, is to build the capacity within not only their school districts, but within their unions, to have the capacity to lead professional development opportunities for their colleagues in their learning communities. And what we've really noticed in our project is the enriching pieces of the project, the confidence levels that our ILC members started with. 3 years from now, we've seen a lot of growth, and also people in our project moving on into other leadership positions within their unions as well as within the school districts. So we started off with our video with all ILC members who were in the classroom, and then we saw 2 of them become assistant principals, so we had to change their titles to assistant principals. We have people who have become presidents of their locals. We have one of them here right now, Angelica Nikos from Folsom, Cordova, I got that right, school district. She is one of our newer ILC members and became president right about the time when she started the project. So we've also have leaders who have become TOSAs, or Teachers on Special Assignment. So are there any teachers on special assignment in the room? That Clarissa's a new one, so is Shannon, part of the project. And then we also have an administrator who also became part of our project as a result of the Bechtel Foundation funding additional administrators for our project. And within the National Board Resource Center, the encouragement of some of our members to participate in Jumpstart or other national board process. We have a number of ILC members who are completing their national board certification or getting advanced degrees. So this is a capacity building component of our project. We do have another greeting comment from Linda Darling-Hammond, who is now retired, right? And she's running her own foundation. She's kind of like a professor emeritus at Stanford now. So she's going to be bringing greetings from wherever her travels is right now. So we'll try again with our technical. Hopefully this will work better. You have to hit this. You have to hit that. What? You have to hit the. Oh, I don't have the mouse. She has the mouse. You have to drag it over to the.
Hello, Instructional Leadership Corps, and what a year it has been. I am delighted to be with you today to celebrate the last 2 years and plan for the year ahead. You've been an inspiration to me and to educators and policymakers all across the state of California and the nation, because we talk about you as we go out and work with and talk to other states. In this first 2 years, ILC members have directly served over 40,000 educators in more than 2,000 schools in 356 school districts in California. You have shown how a professional learning initiative can use capacity to grow capacity, can engage in cross-role collaborations across roles in school districts and across the research and policy and practice community, can establish institutional partnerships like those created by CTA and the National Board Resource Center and SCOPE, but also connecting to the Department of Education and other organizations in the state, and of course developing this cycle of learn, do, and assess, and learn more deeply and do again, which is driving the professional learning in your own work and in the work of others who take up the new standards with your help. And of course, to cohere and align with the local initiatives in your districts. As we enter the third year of the ILC, the goal is really to help this initiative expand and take root for the long term in the state of California. And we see a lot of indicators that this is beginning to happen already. We see local communities counties and school districts investing in the work, spreading it, finding more time for teachers to do this work, more opportunity for it to connect beyond single districts. We see local stakeholders, districts, local unions, and others working together to meet the professional learning needs of educators. We see local communities valuing the knowledge and expertise of teachers and other practitioners in facilitating professional learning. We see ILC members, of course, deepening their own knowledge and skills as they deepen the knowledge and skills of their colleagues. This convening is an opportunity for you to share how you've been accomplishing these things and to plan for how the work can be institutionalized and disseminated further in the year to come. One of the things that's very exciting to me as someone who works with policymakers is the number of ways that ILC work is connecting to policy in California. We see it connecting to the local control accountability plans and becoming part of the ways that districts describe how they will implement the standards and pursue that work. It is connecting to the Department of Education's initiatives to guide the use of legislative resources for professional learning in the state, including the recent document describing the use of new state professional learning investments to support student, educator, and school system growth. We see it poised to inform and take advantage of the new ESSA federal law, which calls for the kind of professional development that the ILC, in fact, has been planting and growing in this state. We also see how the ILC is helping to address California's teacher shortages by helping teachers become excited, feel efficacious in their work so that they are more likely to stay. We see so much evidence of how educators supporting educators creates this kind of excitement and commitment to the work and the capacity to do it. For example, from recent workshops and ongoing professional learning, we have heard folks talk about, as one science teacher said, I've done more science in my class these past 2 years than I've done in the past 10. And you know how that is changing. Thank you, and keep offering these classes, please. Another said, it has provided a great amount of information and ideas by an enthusiastic teacher who has excited me about teaching science again. Another said, I love the inspiration I always leave with. Still another, I love the power of teachers sharing best practices. You and I both know that that is not the universal response to professional development activities that we've experienced over the years. But this is a motivator, and it's helping us both raise the level of practice and keep great teachers in the profession. ILC members themselves have grown as institutional leaders. For 2 consecutive years, CTA selected 2 ILC members in 2015-16 and 2016-17 to represent California at a national competition sponsored by the National Foundation for Improving Education, the NEA's National Foundation. This year's recipient, who is an ILC member, Al Rabanera, won the National Horace Mann Award for Teaching Excellence. More than 165 ILC members have received awards or promotions in their schools or districts. 23 have moved into site-based or district-level leadership positions. They've been elected into leadership positions in local, state, and national unions. They've earned teaching awards at the school, district, and county levels. They've become national board certified teachers and national board support providers. They've been elected to or received awards from statewide professional associations, such as the Association of California School Administrators, the California Science Teachers Association, and the two-way dual immersion California Association for Bilingual Education, and the list goes on and on. As one person put it, and I think this really encapsulates the reason for and the benefit of these leadership opportunities. The work of the ILC has allowed me to stay in the classroom, yet still be part of leadership at its best. I've always wanted to be a teacher since the time I was very young, yet now as an adult I want to lead and be a leader. But I do not want to leave what I love doing most, teaching. The ILC has allowed me to be a part of the important work of instructional leader without leaving the classroom. The ILC allows for me to explain to people that I am not, quote, just a teacher. I am someone who loves my job, to work with kids all morning and all afternoon, but I can still be a professional who leads other adults, collaborates, researches best practices, writes, creates, and invents. The ILC leaders at SCOPE and CTA and the National Board Resource Center also provide me with a lens I never knew existed. Adults who treat teachers as professional equals, who care about teachers, who respect teachers, who believe in teachers, and who will go above and beyond for teachers. The work of the ILC takes the word teacher to a new level. Finally, a place where I can meet, see, observe other professionals in my field, teacher leaders. I am so proud to be a part of this team, and I think that sentiment is shared by all of you who are doing this work and applauded by those who are supporting the work. The job of taking root is on our plate for this year. How do we allow this to not be a project that comes and goes? How do we allow this way of working to become the California way of developing practice, of sharing expertise, of moving the whole state to a new level of learning? Well, one of you put it this way: for the ILC to take root, I have learned that it must find its place within the cultural, organizational, and teaching context of the school and district. You have to build relationships horizontally with colleagues and vertically with people in positional authority in order for your work to have measurable impact. You also have to be patient and politically savvy, knowing when to advocate for some learning opportunity or PD, when to step back and wait. You have to create a safe space for learning, discussion, and dialogue all the time. And I know each of you is involved in thinking about what the next steps are in your context, in your work, to take it to the next level. I want to quote Rebecca Sackett, who is an ILC teacher and presenter, after a recent conference when she said, "I'm hoping to host virtual follow-up sessions on our new website, octeachernetwork.com, using Screencastify and Google Forms." I don't even know what Screencastify is, and I've just recently learned about Google Forms, but I am quite confident that this kind of work is part of taking the work to the next level. So I want to leave you as you begin the conference, finally with the words of a first-year ILC site administrator from one of our urban school districts who really captured the feelings and the sentiments that I think are driving this work. He said, "I have not been able to sleep peacefully in 2 days from all the energy this opportunity has created in my thinking, heart, and core. My ILC partner and I have been working so hard this past 5 or 6 years at any idea we have felt will ultimately make a difference for teachers, students, and families as dedicated teachers ourselves. It's inspiring and overwhelming to know organizations such as this exist, to support work such as ours, and build a community of like-minded individuals as driven and creative as we like to assume we are." I cannot think of the perfect words of thank you for the opportunity, but encourage me to never give up, because we are not alone and a change is coming. Encourage me to keep thinking about new out-of-the-box ways to meet needs of teachers who serve our little geniuses. So thank you. Signed, I'm clearly never sleeping again. There's work to be done. I think all of you feel that way. I do hope that over the course of this conference, you do find a time to sleep again, but not too much, because there is so much work to be done. Thank you.
Get us back to over here, because I don't see that. I see the other. My screen looks different.
So I think that part of Linda's message to us is really clear and an important message as to how we think about professional development, to think about it in a different way that we've been used to seeing and hearing it, which is the flyby or the one-shot canned professional development, or bringing in a consultant that your district may pay a lot of money to just fly in and fly out. So the important pieces is that it's here, and we're going to talk about the project itself next, and Melissa is taking over that piece.
Yep, you're going to do my slides for me, or do you want? I can do this. I can do this. All right, so I specifically want to talk about one of our principles that hasn't maybe been already alluded to in Eric or Linda's remarks. So one of the things that we really want to take from the best practices and research that has been going on about how people learn, and especially how do we get the type of changes in practice that are necessary for these new standards, is that you need an opportunity to come back with something that you've tried and get some feedback on it, get some new ideas, really be part of this recursive cycle of continuous learning. So that's really an important part of what we're working towards in the ILC. And I don't want to suggest that it's been easy for people to get on the calendar or for the time to be carved out for everyone, but we hear time and again that when people have had the opportunity to come back and to get some more ideas, then they refine what they're doing, they bring that student work. If they're working on leadership shifts, when principals have the opportunity to come together and talk about what they're trying and just have a community of practice, that is really helping to foster the types of environments for the professionals that we want to be developing in our classrooms to achieve the standards and the expectations that students need to meet in this century. And so in addition to the project principles, and I should say that you've got a purple sheet that has our project principles in your packet. You have some of the selected slides. So you'll have these additional resources available to you. But one of the other underlying pillars of our work are these 4 domains for curriculum design and instruction. So people might think, well, of course, the first thing I'm thinking about is students. But we really need to be sure that we're explicit in our thinking about knowing our students and their needs. And that's one of the things that we're really pushing for in the ILC. We're not having a certain packaged professional development that we're going to say, no matter your situation, this is what you should do. Obviously, that standardization would be nice and easy, and we could, have all kinds of easy metrics for it. But the reality is that every community's context, every classroom context, they are variable. And in our state, with our size, it's larger than populations of entire countries. Of course, we have that diversity, and we need to have our work reflect that and honor that. And now the content is really important. We can't have years go by where people have a good experience, but they're not learning what they need to know to be successful in the 21st century. So we really need to make sure that we have content as part of the work that we're doing. And the DOK levels. I was just talking with my daughter. I have a third grader, and she has another friend, and they're reading the same book series, and they sort of quiz each other on their comprehension of the books. And I said, well, the types of questions that you're asking each other are actually really important. Are they all questions about, like, do you remember the name of this character? Or, I'm trying to help her get to the idea of the different levels, the depth of knowledge levels, because that's one of the really important things that we need to be thinking about. And so we work on that in our pedagogy to make sure that educators at all levels are understanding those types of changes that are in our standards in terms of the expectations, and then how are we going to achieve them. And another thing that needs to be part of our consideration is assessment. And we have assessments in California. They are very different than prior assessments, and they have these important claims. And we have ILC members who are part of the Building Educator Assessment Literacy Project. That's a partnership with West Ed, and they have shared their expertise. Bernadette here is an example. And to really say, assessment is not a bad word. It's just the way we have had to assess in prior years was not always in the best interest of children, and the ramifications and the high stakes, there's a lot of things about it that haven't been done in the way that we would want that to be. But we really work on how can we really learn about formative assessment and learning from what we see and that ongoing change in our practice based on our students' needs. And so this kind of shows how we've progressed from sort of starting out with our design team and just getting started with bringing together our first 184 ILC members. And really, as we've grown and we realize that those of you who are here who thank you for coming in person, and those who are with us virtually are really important parts of the community that are going to make it to where this work is going to continue to deepen and grow. And so we're really thinking about taking root in this year, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. And so over the summer, Linda made reference to a quote from a summer conference, and so we had times where the teams for 2016-17 came together for 2.5 days to really think about making a plan for their local communities and how could they help to implement the work based on what might have happened previously and then moving forward into this year and the needs of the local community. And you'll have the opportunity to sit in and hear from 3 of the 4 teams that we have representatives of here today. There's a blue sheet that will describe those opportunities in your packet. And then the ILC members will all come together again for their chance to model what we tell you, and we're telling all of you that we have this recursive model and that people go out and try things and then they come back and reflect on it and share with each other and refine it and go do better things with it, right? Well, we have built that into our own work as a project so that our ILC members will have that same experience themselves. And I'd like to pass on to John Snyder, the Executive Director of Scope, who will talk a little bit about our metaphors for year 3.
Yeah, there's a big mistake. You gave me a microphone. So you might actually, this might be your chance to take this nap that you didn't get earlier. Linda was saying, don't sleep. This is a good opportunity for you. Because I'm not going to talk about anything that's on the slides. I want to talk about metaphors. Because I think metaphors are interesting and important because they shape our thinking. You'll notice that we're talking here about taking root, that we're using a living metaphor. We're not saying that you're a Lego or a clock spring or a bridge span. It's living because education and the children that we serve and the families that we serve and the educators are living human beings. There's nothing wrong with us because we're living. That's the brilliance and the genius that we have and that we bring to our role in society and in our communities. In addition, if you're living, The only way you stay alive is if you feed and sustain each other. So those are really important. So we're going to take root, we're going to be humans, we're going to feed and sustain each other, and this is where the metaphor is interesting. So I'm glad it's living, but there's lots of possible living metaphors. We could be a fish. We don't have to be a tree. A fish is living, right? It's just within the growing things, if you think about the plants, right? We could be this, I'm going to call it an oak tree. May or may not be an oak tree. So it's softwood, you know, comes back every year, there's fruits, life is good. That's a nice one. We could be an evergreen tree that stays green and the leaves don't drop, and you get all those nice cones, you know, that you can use for holiday decorations and things. That's another good thing to be. We could be a tumbleweed. Now, tumbleweeds, you may think, what does that have to do with taking root? When tumbleweeds are tumbling along, like Gene Autry sang, I think, as they tumble, those seeds are falling in, and it's spreading itself all over Heckengon. That's why there's so many tumbleweeds. So we could be tumbleweeds, or we could be the annuals in my backyard, or we could be the perennials in my backyard, or we could be the wheat fields where I grew up, where if you don't plant wheat and take care of wheat, the volunteer weeds take over, and it destroys the soil and nobody benefits. Okay, just because you're living doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to do. Or I was at a lake, and this is for Hannah, because she likes this one, where God, there was an entire bay that was filled with water lilies. Now, God knows what those roots were because they were like floating on the water. But they were growing and they were taking root. So why am I going on and on and on about this? Because there's all these possible metaphors, and not one of them is right. In fact, what each of you are doing in your communities and with your classrooms and with your schools is probably all of these at the same time. So please, as you're going out and you're doing this work, don't try to do it the right way, the one right way. Do it the best way for your kids and your teachers and your communities. And in order to do that, that's why it's so extraordinarily important to listen what other people are doing, how they're enacting these metaphors, and how you are, to learn with and from each other as educators who care about the same thing. And ultimately, what that's going to bring about is what taking root really means. That each and every child in each and every community in this country leaves our school systems with an opportunity to pursue a future of his or her own choosing, not chosen by somebody else, not dependent upon the color of their skin, not dependent upon their religion or the language spoken at home, or the zip code, or any other accident of birth. This is our rights as human beings. And that's what taking root means. And that has to happen in each and every community in this state and in this country. That it's not an anomaly, it's the norm. That's what taking root means.
So these are just a few of the ways that the ILC work might be taking root in different communities this year. Each team thought about that. And then, Marlene, so I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, I think Linda mentioned this in terms why we have this opportunity to grow the ILC project into many more venues than just providing PDs for teachers, because we're dealing with a teacher shortage right now. So providing the PDWs or professional learning for our new teachers, our substitutes in terms of the substitute shortages that we have, that many of them really have not been in education and don't really know about the new standards. Beginning teacher support, supporting teachers who are learning and applying the new standards. We have a project that started last year in Montebello for parent education, and they are teaching the parents about the standards in their native language in Spanish. So our project is branching into many of these areas. So it also meets some of the mandates of the state at our state level right now in terms of the conditions for learning. All of what we do in the ILC project applies to these 4 areas that are related to conditions of learning. And also the second column in terms of pupil outcomes, how well they will do on their assessments, either formatively or summatively, and the parent involvement pieces. So the project provides an opportunity for school districts to conserve their resources, meaning even though you're getting the base amount through the LCFF or the local control funding formula and the supplemental grants, it provides an opportunity for school districts to conserve their resources by utilizing the teachers within their districts and the ILC members to provide the growth that's needed. So here we kind of outline for you, this is what the project provides in terms of supporting our ILC members. We do the summer conference of bringing together our ILC members to reinforce their learning, and we do provide the release day and housing and travel expenses as part of our project, and the learning from the field. And then we have a regional support system, so 2 of my colleagues are part of that regional support system, Vernon Gatone from Region 1 and Karen Taylor from Region 4. So we do provide that system of support with not only our colleagues from Stanford who pairs up with them, but also ILC members who are identified as core advocates. So the expectation in terms from the union and district partnership that we're hoping to develop over the next 3 years is that the release day, if needed for our members to attend summer conferences, because some school districts close down later or start earlier now, a release day for the learning from the field, and then any support that the district can provide for these professional learning opportunities. But the regional support meetings will be provided by the project. So we are going to, the next thing that we're going to do is we have some projects that are in full swing right now. We want to share them with you so that you can hear what they're doing and see if there's opportunities for you and your district. And I'm not sure if we need to take a break, but maybe the break could be inclusive in the movement that you're making to go to the roundtable discussions. So Melissa's going to describe how this is going to work, but we do have the projects, the roundtable conversations situated so that the Silicon Valley project is here at this table, Yuba City project is here at this table, Washington and their project is at this table back here, and then the Stockton project here. So you have a handout that describes each of the projects, and Melissa's going to tell you how this is going to work.
All right, so we'll have time for you to go to hear about 3 of the projects today. And so the first time around, the camera is just going to stay over there so that the live audience can participate with us as well. And so where Yuba City is right now, that's going to start out being filmed. And then, so what we'll do is we'll kind of take a break and start, get people where they're going, and I'll give you about 15 minutes with each roundtable. And at the end of the first round, we'll say, okay, it's time to move. And then the presenters are going to move counterclockwise, so that then the East Side Alliance team will be sitting there so that they'll be filmed the next time, and then the Stockton team will be over here, Washington will be here, Yuba City will be there. And then those of you who are attendees, we encourage you to hear different people, and so we don't want to necessarily have those same people be on the video every single time. We don't really intend that. So we'd like you to go ahead and in the next 5 minutes get yourself, restrooms are just that way, and then find your way to the table that you would like to start with. Again, we have East Side Alliance here, Stockton here, Washington there, Yuba City there. And this is where you get to hear from the teams themselves. And we'll let you know the time. So get going.
We're going to start at exactly 5:15.
So do you want to put the
I'm going to put the mics here so that
at the moment for the time being. So when you're going to turn it on right there.
So I'll be here for the camera and then we can.
Yeah, and
I don't
because
either.
Barry might want you all to
It's okay.
orient yourself a little differently so that they're not just the back of your head or whatever. But you tell her what.
Are you showing stuff on your computer?
So there's going to be one computer that's showing something, and so whichever computer you want to be showing during the part that they're doing that, and then once they finish their presentation, then there'll be conversations.
Okay. So maybe the people who are coming to the table can sit at those 3 or 4 chairs there, and then we'll have you all around on either side of the computer that we're showing. So I'll pick kind of the side of you and the computer in the middle.
You and Suzanne can be front and center. I said you and Suzanne can be front and center.
Okay, so the first part we're going to start off with is the history, and then we'll talk about how we've continued it. So I'll start off, and then your part, if you want to say something, would be how you help facilitate getting the passport set up and the rooms available. You know what I mean? You kind of secure all that stuff and get it sent out and keep track. And then, like a big thing is that they get paid.
They get paid.
So, and then maybe other districts will look at this and say, oh, well, it works for their district. And I don't know how you guys pay for it. Do you know how?
It comes out of a variety. So it comes out of teacher quality. So some out of Title II. Some comes out of healthcare. So we set aside money for NGSS. So it comes out of various budgets.
That's the part I don't really know.
I'm Lynn Feldman, and I write for the CTA's publication, The Educator. And after some of these conversations are over, I'd love to come by and just talk to you a little bit. Just for general audience, pretty much, in your words, get a sense about what this is
in our area.
What it's doing. Yeah. And I spent some time up here.
Last week.
one that you're going to?
And Suzanne, you know what? We might just want to have this instead of it just clicking nonstop. Do you know how to stop it and all that?
No. I just go like this, don't I?
You would just like once we push play.
Do you have video?
No video.
It's
the slideshow.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just catch it from right between you.
Okay, that's perfect.
We have it on two.
He's just going to catch it between us. We've already talked about that. Okay.
Aren't you going to keep yours open?
No, because I'm not. But I don't want this to just automatically go. So I want to.
This way so I get a little shot. Nice. That's so nice.
It's about relationships. We go way back.
Thank you.
That's great. She taught one of mine. She did. She babysat for you. Hi. She's
Our
babysat.
relationship.
And your daughter's
Oh, Angelica. Yes. You're the one that Marlene introduced Yes, earlier. yes. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi, Hannah.
Does anybody know how to turn the automatic off so we can just?
Oh, let me no clue.
I just want to turn it off so we can.
Never use keynotes. Sorry, what did you want to turn off?
Just so that we can control the slideshow ourselves.
Ah, okay. I think this is fine now. You just use the right arrow.
Okay, that's good.
Is it glowing on its own now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want it to go on
Oh,
its
you.
own.
Oh.
I just don't know how to stop it from doing that.
You can use that when you're speaking.
Is it in, what's the presentations and Q&A?
Yeah. Oh well. Okay, we'll just get started.
I just learned.
He wants that one turned so he can see it, and we'll just our so I just don't want it to keep going though. Oh well. Let's just tell about it first, and then we can show them some pictures. So what did you say? So my name's Clarissa Reeson, and I'm the GSS Science Elementary Coach for our school district. And And I said, yeah, well, I wonder how that plastic would get, to the ocean. Well, it could get there through all the rivers around us. And so they started a campaign at school to clean up when you go to the river and to consider using other things besides plastic bags. And one student in the class went home and shared with his parents about that at the dinner table, and he came back super excited the next day to tell me that his family had said that they would no longer use plastic bags. And I said, oh, that's great. But it's that kind of stuff that science will get kids excited about, and they will write, they will read, they will research, they will do everything we want them to do, and they will even behave because they're so into what it is they're learning about, and it's purposeful.
For the ILC when it was cell phones and the students take a stance. I'm sorry?
Could you turn the computer so that they can see?
Oh, sure, sorry. Clarissa couldn't make it? Okay. And so we used that for Nature Bowl. So the students, one student, that was the year that the plastic bag initiative was on for voting. So then they took a stance, should we use it or should we not? And they were, one child was so encouraged about it. At that time I was teaching 4th grade and I had volunteered with Nature Bowl, that she went home and she collected all her recyclables, and with that money she bought cloth bags for every student in her class. And so it's grown and grown since then. And our students approached the cafeteria before and said, we don't want all that, we want whatever we use in the cafeteria to be recyclable. So I think that the real critical piece was science, doing the activity, doing the phenomena. Start with the question and not the vocabulary or the content, and then to grow from there. I think that was a critical piece. I remember years ago I went to the science project and we did it. It was 4 weeks on heat and energy, and Wendell Potter, the vice chair of the physics department, was part of the science project. And so we said, well, is this activity a chemical reaction or a physical reaction? He said, I don't know. And I said, what? The vice chair of the physics department? And UC Davis doesn't know? And he said, Suzanne, that's not important. It's the questions children ask that are important, not the answers they give. So that was pretty.
So we're wrapping this up now. So how are we going to continue this year? This year, we have added another component to our plan, and we're going to meet with the principals soon, right? It's in October, and we're going to share with them some of the instructional shifts that they'll see when they go into classrooms and observe science. And we're also going to show them some of the things that have changed, like the order in which you teach. We start with the question or the phenomenon now, and we teach the vocabulary as it happens. And so students don't, if they don't have the background knowledge, it's okay, because as they gain the background knowledge, they will be able to say, they'll say, look at that worm. Oh, yeah, that's a caterpillar. And then they have firsthand experience then.
And on the follow-up, one of our teachers from Berry School, 3rd grade teacher Joe, he worked with a lot of English learners. So he came, they did the activity and all, and then it improved their writing. There's a piece on here that shows a level 1 Spanish speaker who did the writing based on, I can't find it, Clarissa. These were activities. We did a lot of hands-on activities, but it was also minds-on. It wasn't just, they were all related to either the practices and the teachers. The evaluations were, well, you saw the evaluations, right?
The evaluations were all, outstanding. I think the most exciting part is that teachers were taking back hands-on science activities to spark interest in kids. And I know in many districts, I don't think ours is alone, it's finding that time for science because we have such a focus on language arts and mathematics. But it's really finding that time in every week for kids to be excited about learning through science.
Partnerships, teamwork. Now it's time to rotate. So, presenters, please rotate. Counterclockwise.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you for sharing.
I did.
I love your seal story. Love it. Oh my gosh.
It was
the Moore Foundation.
The Moore Foundation.
And I remember hearing that too when he, I was like, how did that even happen? Yeah.
It's wonderful because, I've done workshops.
That is so great. That's what it's all about.
It is all about the kids.
So let's see. Just gonna do that and then move it this way, I guess.
So we're gonna this way, Steve, like this. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's good.
This props.
Is it on? Because it was on before. Is it on right now?
It's on right now.
So you guys, the mic is on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
no dirty jokes.
We'll try not to.
Are you presenting?
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to sit like maybe right there?
Okay.
And then I'll kind of get this.
Do you want the computer here?
Do you have one computer?
Yeah.
So you'll be sharing that. Yeah, so if you put it there, so the people over here can kind of see.
We have one. How do you want the computer? I'm sorry.
I'll take that back. How about you sit like over here?
Oh, okay.
He is the camera guy. Could tell us how to make this work the best for this
All right. Musical chairs, I'm sorry.
that's
How about
okay.
you're at the head of the table and then we'll just
Back
kind of
over
put the
here?
computer in front of you. You need to sit. Are you okay if you were kind of like this?
So I'm just gonna put it like this.
Yeah, so whoever's
Okay.
speaking can share that mic.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Oh.
And then the participants will share the other mic.
Oh, okay.
Sorry for the. So you guys can share that.
Right away. I wanted to actually talk about. I wanted to say at the symposiums, this is our focus.
Oh, you should have somebody here.
Thank you.
We're going to come visit you so we can fill the audience.
Perfect. Everyone's afraid of being on TV today.
They don't like to be on live stream.
All right.
But we'll hear more about your project.
Yeah.
So my name's Monica. Okay, so we are the Eastside Alliance, ILC, and
It's on.
Is it good? Oh, okay. And I'm Bernadette Salguerino. I'm one of the math coordinators for the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and this is.
I'm Shannon Engel. I am a TOSA, a math coach, and a math teacher. And we have a third member is Keely Berg, and she was just promoted to vice principal, and she's in the Oak Grove district.
So it's a collaboration between the Santa Clara County Office of Education, the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, and the 8 school districts comprising the Eastside Alliance. So we are actually working with the 7 feeder school districts into the Eastside Union High School District. So a total of 8 school districts where we are supporting about 85,000 students. The Eastside Alliance through the Silicon Valley Education Foundation has these metrics as well. And so as they're kind of like speaking about their support for students into life after high school, we thought about the opportunity to say, hey, the ILC is an opportunity to kind of like align their work into supporting students and teachers in what they define as successful after high school or success after high school. So the Eastside Alliance has many different committees like the Superintendent's Council, the Advisory Steering Committee, Collaborative Committee, Operations Committee. But thank you for coming to one of those presentations, because now Instructional Leadership Corps is a phrase, a sentence, a name into all the work that we do for Eastside Alliance.
So they do also have a vision and mission. And when we saw that, we thought about, taking this opportunity to truly leverage what we can do to support teachers, but more importantly, the students.
So within our group, we have these 3 levels, and one of the levels is the symposiums. We've been doing the symposiums. This is our 3rd year, 4th year. 4th year. The first 2 years, the symposiums were focused on Common Core standards for the teachers to kind of break them down and kind of see what they were about. We even had Phil Darrow come to one of the symposiums, which was really nice. And last year, our focus was on formative assessments, and the teachers were able to see what formative assessments were. We were able to give them, if you want to go back to our 4 domains, of course, our students are always the focus, but then we were able to give them content for the formative assessments because our symposiums are math focused, instruction, and then the claims. So the symposiums were really helpful, very strong feedback. Our focus is on the high school, middle school, and this year we are adding in the elementary teachers, which I think is a huge part to it, and our PLCs. And the PLCs are the follow-up from the symposiums in their cohorts to keep doing that refining of the skills that we give them. So we talked about the symposiums, and one of the big parts of the symposiums that the teachers requested were videos of teachers showing the things that they wanted to see, and it kind of brought everything to light, what we were trying to get across. The middle school and the high schools are obviously a focus right now, especially bridging to high school, the 7 districts feeding into the high school. It was crucial for them to collaborate together. Mathematics toolkit, that is going to be our focus of this year's symposiums. We're going to be creating a toolkit to be able to give to the administrators, the teachers, to be able to implement in their schools best practices and ideas that they can use. And then we have our Elevate Math brought to us from Silicon Valley Education Foundation. It started with 8th grade, and it has expanded to 7th grade and 10th grade. And it's focusing on the standards and math content areas for them to be successful.
So we do provide professional development, but also coaching to teachers and for them to be able to expand the work that they do in the classroom. As what Shannon has mentioned earlier, the symposium also is kind of like shifted from, inviting big names like Phil Darrow, Callahan, and so on and so forth. We were even thinking of Joe Bowler into now teachers leading the symposium. So last year when we had the ILC, we now have, a video of Shannon's classroom being one of the highlights of symposium number 12, because teachers were clamoring for how does that look like? Phil was speaking about stepping stone, but how does that look like in the classroom? So Shannon's video has changed the course. So now we have ILC members and ILC teachers within the Eastside Alliance. We also have one from Alum Rock Union School District and one from Eastside Union School District to be now collaborating and working to plan how the next symposiums would look like. So that has changed a lot. But also as we kind of expand our work, the toolkit also is one of the focus now, because I've seen that, but will there be kind of like a document to say, this is how we can support you, and this is what are some of the examples that you can use to make this happen in the classroom. So we did learn a lot in the in the year that we've worked with the Eastside Alliance. First is truly to work with teachers to build leadership, their capacity to do that work, and more so about their feedback saying this is not working and this is how we should be able to make it happen in the classroom, to also supporting the initiatives that the Eastside Alliance is taking part. So we've been working with them, but also more so about giving them feedback how those initiatives are kind of like taking root in the community and making the changes and growth that we wanted to happen. So we partner with administrators as well. We use and align our efforts with LCAP, and of course, more importantly, empower and support teachers as they do their work, really hard work in the classroom. So these are the next step that we're trying to do. We now are working to, we've tried very hard last year, we've done a lot of professional development, and we've seen how that is trying to impact classrooms. Now we said we should gather a lot of evidence of student learning, videos from teachers, make a library of videos, maybe some of them will be creating some portfolios on website, and of course use social media to kind of like network and to shout out that this is happening and you also can do it. So we would like to share with you a video of one of the attendees that
So what did you like about session number 1? So I'm Arlen Illa, and I teach 5th grade at Horace Cureton Elementary School in Alum Rock School District. What I really liked about session number 1 that dealt with the number talks was that last year I attended another SCOE event, and I loved it when I went there, but it was like at a hectic time of year and I forgot about it. So when I came here and I saw that again, I said, oh my God, I'm so excited, because I want my kids to be able to explain. It's going to help them with the Common Core.
Which is why it's important to have that second follow-up to keep reminding them.
So has it been difficult to do the follow-ups?
It's really a challenge to do the follow-up, but I think that as we try to send emails to principals and directly kind of like create a distribution list to directly email our teachers, we're still making a good progress.
I think that you all reached like 500 educators last year, or some very large number, because this alliance has, how many different teachers are in the East Side Alliance? Like those, I know there's 85,000 students, but a lot of teachers, and you're focusing on mathematics, and so now when you're moving into elementary school, the multiple subject teachers, and I'm wondering, because you've tended to work with people who kind of have been, more voluntarily participating. So this means we have 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm wondering, are you thinking of some different strategies that you're going to try with the, now that you're going to be working with elementary teachers, or what are you thinking about that?
So the initial plan is, I think that based off of the feedback last year, the plan of having, the general symposium and then 3 sessions follow-up from different cohorts kind of like worked. And so we will try to pattern it, but we will work small this school year. We just initial symposium for everyone else, because I think we have more teachers in the 3. We will try to focus on 4 through 6 first, and that's about 280 teachers. Or more. And that's going to be huge. And then strategically thinking of 2 cohorts where kind of like we mix our high performing feeder school districts with kind of like low, so that we can also cross-pollinate about the strategies and data and so on and so forth. And so 2 cohorts will be formed, and 2 sessions after the general symposium. And the initial plan also was to growth mathematical mindset being our main theme for this year, hoping that they will be able to have that positive outlook into supporting all and the changes that's coming, but more so about thinking that kids can do mathematics and we all can do math. So that's,
can you tell me more just really about the logistics of the PLCs? How is the time created? Do you do it within a school or across school, or just logistically, how are those organized?
And that's why I said This is where the Eastside Alliance folks are helping us. So they have a point person to kind of like coordinate that. And so the point person, Dan Moser, being the former superintendent of Eastside Union High School District, is gathering some of, collaboration between the feeder middle schools and the high school, and strategically choose, like this high school, 3 feeder school, school sites are fitting into that. So that would be one cohort, second cohort, and so on and so forth. And we also chose dates of each of those math, we call them the Math Collaborative. Those are sessions right after the Eastside Symposium, to be strategic so that it's not, we had it and then we forgot it all and no follow-up. So those follow-ups are really critical. And we talk about, we've talked about this, try it, what can we bring to make it happen, and then let's discuss how that has worked in the classroom.
Good. That may be the source of some of our videos of practice. We're collecting videos. Okay, so we're moving.
Okay, one more time.
Yes. Grab some of our.
Yes, please take.
Let's take some more.
Oh, sorry, we have to make you take all this with you.
We probably can just leave it here.
Well, do you want the next team? The next group? We'll leave some here and take some. How about that?
You missed the barbecue.
Really?
On the
I don't know where
next
they
to
want
the
us to
last
sit. I
day,
guess
on
over here?
Thursday night, there was a barbecue.
Share it.
Okay.
Back and forth, and then the audience, your participants will just sit over on this side with John, and you can use this one. Sure, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I had just turned them off for a moment.
Okay.
Until they were.
Good, I muted it back there.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Well, that works too. Just.
Okay.
Okay. So you make. Yeah. You turn it on.
You give the high sign to go. You'll say when to start.
Awesome.
Or just whenever people are here.
How nice. Now it is too. Oh, wow. I didn't even see it. Oh, okay. I didn't even see that. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that little table will stop by there.
Okay, yeah.
Teachers like free stuff.
Oh, yeah. Me too. That is so awesome.
I know, but it's right. I'll sit in the video one.
That's so funny.
It's not that bad.
I'm sure it's not. Who knows if the people are actually even there?
Yeah, I know, right?
I know that last time the district representative from my school wasn't able to view it live, but went back and watched it later.
Yeah,
So
that happens a lot.
This is Stockton.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Jessica, where are you from?
I'm with the California Science Teachers Association.
Oh, okay. And Millie or Mill?
Mill. I'm from UC.
Okay.
That's awesome. I want to pick your ear later, if I may. You know where we're at.
Let's go ahead and start. There's good conversation here. So when you all are speaking, if you can use that mic, that'll help the people watching it online.
Sure.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Monica Hernandez from Stockton Unified. I teach special ed.
Good morning. I'm Brenda Francis, also from Stockton Unified, and I'm a curriculum specialist for the district.
So this is my third year with the ILC, and this is Brenda's first year with the ILC. I'm so glad to have her. We actually have a team of 4, so half of us is in the classroom right now doing their job. And my job here is just to tell you a little bit about what our plan is for this year 3 implementation. And we really are trying to honor the whole concept of taking root and building capacity. And so what we put together is this concept of offering to our teachers a professional development learning series. And so with that, we have decided that we are going to cap enrollment because, again, we want to be able to delve deeply. We're going to be offering quarterly sessions on a Saturday for participants, and we are fortunate to have the support of our curriculum department head, and we will be able to offer compensation for our teachers as well. And so the idea is what makes what we have to present to our teachers unique is that it's all teacher driven. And so we really want to offer sessions to them that come out of their need and what they want more of. And so as a result, right now we're in the beginning stages, we're planning. We have initial data. On August 5th, we were facilitators at a mandatory professional development day, all district. And so we approached the head of curriculum and said, hey, Robert, do you think it would be possible if we facilitated one of those workshops? And so each team member acted as a facilitator that day, and we all presented on topics that we were passionate about. So I gave a workshop on SBAC and how to make SBAC every day, so something that we can't just look at in the spring, but something that we need to prepare for on a daily basis. So what does that look like in the classroom? Brenda provided a workshop on units of study, and her target audience was new teachers. Another teammate did project-based learning, and then our final teammate did something on narrative writing. So we provided topics that were important to us, really teaching to our areas of expertise and our passion, which I think is important to be able to get that engagement and that buy-in from your peers. And Brenda, did you want to?
I just wanted to add a little bit more back in the background and how that August 5th PD came in. The district did send out a survey to all teachers, so it was based on teacher need and teacher requests for those topics, and so our topics fit in nicely with what the district was planning, so we were able to blend in what was already going on. And also Monica had shared how we're going to be offering our series on Saturdays, and we're doing that kind of for 2 reasons, because as you know, many districts are going through the crisis of having sub shortage and not having enough coverage for the classroom, and past practice has been that teachers are assigned to go to a specific PD or training, but they're called back because there's no coverage for the classroom. So to offset that crisis, our director said that we could offer our sessions on a Saturday session and to compensate them for coming. Also within that is that we got feedback from teachers, or a lot of teachers just don't want to be out of the classroom. They don't want to have to write sub-plans, and they don't want to waste that quality instruction time with their students and be away from their students for the day, but they'd be more than willing to come on a Saturday. So that's unique in itself as well, trying to meet that teacher need, and that also gives the buy-in and lets the teacher know we're trying to meet them where they are and meet as many needs and accommodate for them as much as we can by meeting on a Saturday and having that Saturday session. So it's twofold, but it's really trying to meet the needs of our teachers as well, just to give that background.
And I think our project is mutually beneficial because we're not asking for any kind of additional fiscal commitment from the district. Because of that shortage, basically all we're doing is reallocating funds. So that money that would go to substitutes is now going into teachers' pockets for participating in this series. So I think that's another huge buy-in, something that we can present to the district and say, hey, look, we are committed to using our resources responsibly in a responsible way. And this benefits the mission of ILC, and it benefits all teachers, but it benefits you as a district as well. And so we've been very fortunate because we understand that it hasn't been the experience of some ILC members to have such an easy go with their district and trying to get buy-in from their district and support. But our head of curriculum has been very supportive almost from the beginning stages. And so we're just working and building on that rapport and really taking the perspective of what can we do as an ILC team to lessen your load? How can we further your vision as a district for teachers when it comes to instruction and curriculum and pedagogy? How can we take what you want and make that happen? And that, I think that strategy from the beginning has been what has enabled us to make the progress that we have.
I have two questions. I'll start with the other two presentations I listened to were very subject matter specific. One was just on math and the other was solely focused on science. And so I'm curious to know in your district if it's, all subject matters and other important professional learning that teachers need, that it's outside subject matters, or does it have a particular focus?
So the focus is going to be determined by the participants.
Okay.
So we really are taking their feedback to heart and really trying to design an experience around what they need and what they crave, really. So
Decision and an ILC, or how did?
That was a decision we made as an ILC team, and then we presented it to the district.
Okay.
And so we have not had any kickback yet.
And then my other question, in terms of how you got to approach your district and be involved in the process, did the project offer you tools and strategies for how to approach your district about using the ILC model and moving things forward, or sort of what's training did you get as an ILC trainer in order? This is how you approach your curriculum instruction. This is how those kinds of.
So nothing as direct as that, but because we went to our Learning from the Field conference and then our summer convening, we did have breakout workshops on how to use LCAP funding, or and so definitely that rapport building. We do have those tips that come from the ILC. So nothing as direct as how to go to your curriculum department to do this, but really looking at the bigger picture and saying, okay, these are some ways that you can lessen the load of the district, or these are some ways that you can fit into the district vision. That has been very helpful, and that's kind of where this was birthed out of, when we as a team then met together and said, okay, what perspective do we want to take? How are we gonna get in? What's our in? And that's really where we came up with the whole, okay, let's approach it from how can we help you lessen your load? And we're fortunate because right now our district is on this, like many districts, we're learning about the whole PLC model and building that professional learning community. And so what we do fits in perfectly with that. And so everything that we have presented, it's always been from a very complementary perspective. We look at what the district's already doing and we try to find a way to fit into it rather than pull away from district time, resources. And by that I don't just mean the entity of the district, I mean the teachers as well. Because so many times teachers are just thrown up on with this or that, and so it just becomes another thing. And we try really hard to make sure that it's not just another thing. And with that in mind, we're very careful on how we approach things and how we develop things, because we never want to give the impression that, one, it's another thing and we're just kind of loading up on our teachers, and two, that we're competing against the district. So we really want to build that collaborative model, and so because that's the place that we're coming from, we strive really hard to make sure that whatever we speak or whatever we write or whatever we do, that it's really in that spirit.
I have some questions from, may I? Oh, yes. Hi. Hi. So Marion Murphy-Shaw says hi to you, first of all, so wave to her.
Marion.
And Marion has a couple of questions for you guys. Is there a tiered distribution of the learning through the schools, or do all staff attend a given number of ILC professional learning events?
So at this point, to date, our ILC offerings have all been more like elective courses. So none of them had been mandated by the district. It's all been kind of, this is what we're offering. If you'd like to attend, please come. Our curriculum department chair has been very helpful, and he will then email administrators and say, this is our offering, please spread the word. And some administrators will, some will not. That's kind of out of our hands. But at this point, it's always kind of been, this is what we're offering to you. If you think it will benefit you, please come. Right. Brenda, do you have anything to add?
That's it.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Hopefully it did answer Marion's question. She had a second question, but she thought you already answered it. Does the ILC plan based on a strategic plan or LCAP as well as teacher input? So I think you answered that.
Kind of all-encompassing.
Great. She's happy.
Well, explain that relationship a little bit, so that there's always that tension between I get to choose whatever I want to do versus students aren't getting any exposure to science in the elementary schools. I mean, I'm making up but how do you balance that in your work?
I think if I'm understanding your question, the focus of the district and the focus of ILC, is that what you're...
Well, it's kind of the ILC, but even within the district is supporting teacher choice, and there's always that tension between individual teacher choice versus, a more coherent, aligned,
standardized kind of thing.
Well, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the greatest things in the driving forces, and chime in whenever you feel needs so, one of the things that we're doing is really that's driving us is really based upon teacher need. What are the needs of the teachers? And so when we started, and it kind of goes back to what your question you were asking as well, when we started, and this is my first year on, but when we started, we really went back to what are the goals of the district. And part of the goals was to provide that quality instruction. Part of our goals for our district is to build up that capacity in being a professional learning community. And so then we went back and our team discussed more, okay, where do we fit within that process? And what we know is good quality and purposeful PD for our teachers. When we came up with our topics for our PD on August 5th, it was based upon teacher need. The teachers were surveyed. So everything that we're doing is based and focused on not only the alignment with the district and the direction they feel that our district needs to go, but it also provides that feedback from our teachers as well. And so that's where our topics were drawn from. So the teachers had an opportunity to choose which session they wanted to what they wanted to attend. From that purpose, or from that August 5th PD, then our teachers are giving us feedback on, okay, what next steps do you want to take? Where would you like to go with this? So on my topic, when I did the units of study, I got more feedback from those specific new teachers on the unit of study, which is our curriculum. What are your next steps? What are your needs now? Okay, it came out overwhelmingly. We need some more instructional resources. We need some more instructional strategies and support. So those are going to be our next steps. So the teachers are having that feedback in and that input in what their needs are as well.
Yeah, as far as like the cohesion, John, like I think I know what you're getting at, the cohesion of, instructional based practices, things of that nature. I would say that good teaching is good teaching. And for the four of us, because we have a pretty good foundation of the Common Core and the shifts that come out of that and what that was birthed out of, we know when we give our presentations, we know that we are going to provide our participants with best practices and the things that are standard based. And even if it might not be like, let's say, a particular strategy that the district is endorsing, good teaching is good teaching. And so we can be sure of that what we're presenting our participants, it's going to meet their needs, and it's going to be able to really transform what's happening in their classroom. So I hope I kind of got to it, John. I know it was
I think the big challenge for district is this notion of it's always fabulous to have teachers who volunteer to attend, but how do you get to the ones who don't volunteer to get that PD to them as well? And I think that's that balance of voluntary stuff on Saturday versus we're going to pull people out of the classroom maybe, or because that's the only PD we can mandate is if it's done within the school day.
We're fortunate in that we
and
also
that's
have,
not how we use ILC in our
Yeah.
district, but there are other things that we do as a district that are not a choice. So
Correct.
our teachers have certain things they have to attend, and then ILC is part of their choice.
Correct. So I think we're in a fortunate position because there's kind of different platforms that we can use. We're definitely doing this more kind of elective model, but also our relationship with the BITSA program is going to continue. I mean, that's something that we established 2 years ago. So that's awesome because we're hitting those teachers right from jump. I mean, right, the minute they walk through that door, we're able to expose them to Common Core, the shifts and what comes out of it and what the expectations are. And so I think in that respect, we're kind of meeting some of that. I know it's not a mandated district-sponsored PD, but we're definitely getting our fingers, in there, and our reach is widening. It might take some time, but it is. So I just think overall we're in a very fortunate position, and look forward to some good things coming out of this collaboration with the district. Thank you.
I have kind of more of a, I don't know if we talked about it yet, but Like in terms of expanding the number of people who are been trained in ILC, so even within your own school district, are you like sort of charged with identifying future like people to be trained to be your colleague in this work, or is it sort of limited to 4? Like I don't, in terms of the project and the plans for.
So
yeah.
Initially, I was the only
okay.
member, and so I worked really hard to like recruit people and say I really need help. I can't do this on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just kind of tell anybody who would listen to me. And that second year,
And some who wouldn't.
and some people, because there's a few. And then in that second year, when those initial applicants went in, I think I had like Melissa said, you like won the trophy for like most recruits. We had like 10 people from Stockton Unified who then applied as ILC members, but I didn't really have any say.
Because of my wallet. My phone is in. Okay, so can you hear me? Yeah, great. Thanks, everybody. So again, I'm Linda, and I wanted to just, year 3, as you heard, in the ILC is all about building partnerships. And, well, it's always been about building partnerships, hasn't it? But it's about building those sustainable efforts through time. And so we would love for you to, we'd like to have kind of a conversation about how might the resources and the people and the knowledge that the ILC project brings to your location, how can we work together so that it is deepened and strengthened collectively? And so we just wanted to have a brief conversation about how can we work together, how can we work with you, and how can you work with us so that we can have an even greater impact on our students.
That the possibilities for the work of the ILC to be endless. I believe that, and I am the forever optimist. I understand that, but just hearing the work of my colleagues and being one of the original ILC members for the last 3 years, I see the good that comes out of this, and I really truly think that there's no end to what we can do if we take the time to evaluate and figure out what our place in all of this is. Each of us has our niche, and each of us has a population or a context in which we thrive. And I think that if we take the time to really reflect about that, I think that we can have an endless pool of opportunity. Just use what you got.
Well, and we've seen over these last 2 years, going into our 3rd year, the amazing power in a district when district administrators and associations and teachers work together. It's phenomenal. And teachers have said so much to us about how much of an impact the professional development workshops have been for them because they're centered in the practice of the teachers. And as somebody who's left teaching 2 years ago, it doesn't take long to sort of start losing touch. So, I mean, we need each other. What steps can your organization take to use these resources and opportunities? Does anybody have any ideas? Any ideas sparked?
In Cordelia, we're using ILC trainers as well as local teachers in the classroom, special education teachers, to come together and train. What I found especially helpful here was the idea of the follow-up in working with that. So there are places we can go with that. But right now, smaller local conference like the symposium in the East Side, all these are great opportunities for teachers to come together and share the incredible things that are happening in the classrooms.
And you are hearing from one of my colleagues, a CTA staff person from Cordelia, who has been supporting the project since year one, providing resources for our ILC members.
Great, great. Right, and we've seen also, there is that paradigm, Linda Darling-Hammond calls it drive-by, spray and pray professional development. And all of us who are teachers have all experienced that, and where you're just like, you know, inundated and then you find the binder in your classroom in June when you're cleaning up. Oh yeah, that was a great PD, but you didn't do anything with it. So we know that the project is very much based on that recursive learning, and that is so critical. We know that that is how we all learn, right? We can't just be told something once and master it. So yeah, anybody else have any thoughts or ideas? Yeah, Melissa? Oh, thank you.
Folks, so I want to share something that one of the virtual attendees shared is that this is Marion Murphy Shaw up in the name of a county that I can't pronounce, Siskiyou. So she's been joining us, and she says, I was sparked to contact my regional ATES BITSA lead and discuss and share this. So thinking about BITSA. So
yay, Marion.
Great idea for Marion.
Yeah, fabulous, fabulous. Good.
Anyone else here?
And then that next question is, what can we do to help you take the steps? So please reach out to us, to any of us, and we are looking forward to working together to strengthen our collective work, right? Melissa and Marlene, do we?
Can I follow up on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If Husto's asked to go before a funder, and the funder says, what should we do in years 4 and 5 after this year? What do you think that a funder should invest their money into this project that would help you do, specifically?
Here we go. We have a hand over here. Here, I can go over there. Here.
So I do know that we're thinking about expansion as well, but I'm thinking about our English learners, the integration of our ELD and making it weave it into what we're doing right now is one huge step that we could say we're on it. The second one is also support for students with disability. We didn't have enough support for teachers and coaches and administrators who are working with them. And for any whatever content area that is, that's also a huge piece that we can add into this program.
Great. Thanks. What you just hang on it. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. I'm seeing a hand coming up.
Just very briefly and quickly, as I was listening to you speak, you really made me think about, and someone mentioned earlier, they're excited about tapping into BITSA. But I know where I'm coming from in San Joaquin County, we have a huge influx of intern teachers. And so that is a huge area, especially trying to attract and retain and prepare our newer teachers coming into the community. That is another area that we need to address. I know I had recently had the opportunity to go to the San Joaquin College out of the San Joaquin County Office of Education and speak to our new intern providers. And so huge area that we need to tap into as well.
Suzanne, did you have one?
We were contacted by the science project director at Chico State about coming up and doing one, but we were so involved with our own district, and our district has been so supportive that we haven't branched out outside of our district. But we have considered other things. And then our district allocated how many days, Mill, for professional development?
For the
after school?
As many as you need for.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yes, and our district has been
So in the first year, I think you did 2 series
So each was 2 days, and then the second year we did 3 or 4 after-school sessions, and then also offered 2 2-day summer institutes. And we have a plan for this year, because now what we're seeing is we have teachers who will be coming back for year 3, teachers who will be coming back for year 2, and then kind of our newbies. So Clarissa already has worked out kind of a tiered system. So we have a menu of, if you're year 1, you might consider this, if it's year 2, if it's year 3. And the only thing I would say from the district perspective is, I mean, we have these 2 fabulous resources. If we could increase, you know, to reach out to different grade levels, to get more high school people, middle school people involved. We have excellent educators, but the training that's been offered to them, I think, would benefit. And so both growing that within our district and maybe a regional system where there's like a, you know, a high school expert in our area. We're kind of out in the between Chico and Sacramento, so we're not really close to any big, you know, we're close to Sacramento. But I think this has been a wonderful thing, certainly growing teacher leaders, and anything to expand that to all grade spans and all content areas, I would endorse. I wish I had money for you. I don't.
Well, thank you, everybody. Marlene, did you want to?
So I think the important thing is the project also is growing in its partnership and collaboration with other entities out there in the States. So we have some people in the room whom we have made contact with and are collaborating with. One of them is the County Superintendents Association. So Saret and Efren from the CSESA, they are starting a community of practice, first in science and math, and then they will add social studies, English language arts, and the other subject content areas. But they invited us to provide them with names of ILC members to add to that community of practice. So each one of the CSESA regions will have an ILC perspective on this community of practice group. We also have a collaboration with the Department of Education. Brent Melicott from the superintendent's office, he is directing all of the work that's related to the Common Core work in the department. And we started this conversation along with CSESA and the collaborative work that's happening. But what I realized was I was part of the implementation of the first set of standards, and we all went down separate roads. Everybody went down separate roads, but I see that, you know, there is a joint partnership opportunity where we're all talking with each other now. Last week I was at a workshop on what is it called, John? Systems Thinking with Peter Senge. And there were opportunities in the room where people all have connections with the classroom somehow, from community groups to advocacy groups, policy groups, and teams of administrators. So there was somebody from Sac City here at first, and so there was a team from Sac City. But there was this opportunity to collaborate on the work that's happening in this state, where we're talking about the California way, following the North Star. I thought it was hokey at first, but you know, I'm kind of getting used to the metaphors that the state is using. So we also are doing an evaluation of the project. We have contracted with Vital Research to do some work in looking at what are these shifts, how are they working, looking at the instructional as well as the leadership shifts, and we're looking at sustainability. You know, in most cases, when there's external funding, when the funds dry up and end, the project goes away. Well, we're looking at what the next 3 years are going to look like as far as how we make the projects and what's happening in each of the educational communities, how that's going to look like and work. So we also have a partnership with West Ed and the Center for the Future of Teaching and Learning. They're also doing some work with here Francesca Delgado from the center is also, they're doing focus groups with different levels of educators, classroom teachers, TOSAs, administrators, school district personnel, to see how the implementation of the Common Core is going. So one of our premise for the sustainability pieces is that teachers want to see what other teachers are doing. That data came from the study that the Center for the Future of Teaching and Learning is doing. So we use that a lot because that plays right into what our project is about. And then our funder is here, Hannah Ma from the Bechtel Foundation. She's here, right? So if you have an opportunity to talk with her, some of you also have projects that are connected with Bechtel. Bechtel is doing a great job of connecting all of their projects. They're having us talk to each other. And that's an important thing also, is that they're not just funding independently different projects. They're funding these projects and they're telling us who they are and that we should talk to each other. So that's kind of the collaboration that we're seeing happening up and down this state. So everybody is connected one way or another with this grand idea of teaching teachers, or educators educating other educators. So we thank you for being here today. We have a survey in your folder. There's a tan color survey that we'd like you to fill out to just give us feedback. We collect a lot of data, and we're going to be using that in our research project. We also are providing lunch for you. You could either have your lunch here and talk some more with the staff here, or you could take it on the road with you if some of you need to get going. But there are bag lunches in the kitchen in the back over here where you got your coffee this morning. So please help yourself to the bag lunches, and you could take more than one because we have more than enough to go around. So you can have your lunch here or you could take it with you. So before we close, are there any questions or burning questions that people have about the project? Yes.
We also have some available swags over there from STEAM teams, so I'm just going to put them all in the center, and please grab them all.
All right, so you have goodies to take with you.
ILC brochures that we have, if you would like to take a few extra with you until they're gone, we have those available. If you need more, you can just contact me or Marlene. Our contact information is on the back of the folder. For those who are joining us remotely, made it to the end, we have a link to the convening survey is down below your list of documents. The very first one is the convening survey. So thank you all again for coming.
Oh, and we do have loaded on our website pretty soon. In the next couple of days, we'll have a list of our ILC members and their area of focus. We're updating the website right now, so also the video will be uploaded onto the cta.org ILC site.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming and sharing. And I'm sure we got a lot of good ideas.
Teams that came, thank you. Teams. And share and repeated themselves 3 times so that we could have the round tables. That's